Hello everyone and welcome back to Fear Factor, the show where we rank your favourite horror movies and games on a fear scale to determine how effectively they scare us. I'm your host Alfie, and today we're going over the original masked slasher movie, Halloween, written and directed by John Carpenter and his partner, Debra Hill. This is the film that got me into horror, and to this day I still believe it to be one of the greatest of all time. But will the Fear Factor hold up all these years later? Let's find out. Halloween begins with the perspective of a young Michael Myers watching his sister Judith walk up the stairs of their home with her boyfriend. After a comically short time and retrieving a kitchen knife, Michael observes the boyfriend leave. Seriously, he was there like a couple of minutes. Michael proceeds to stalk up to his sister's room where he then proceeds to kill her. Sisters, am I right? Michael's parents then arrive to unmask the young, soon-to-be serial killer who is wearing a clown outfit. Being introduced to Michael as a child for his first kill is a great way to show how evil he really is. This is an excellent indicator of what is to come in the rest of the film. The gore in this movie is ultimately kept to a minimum. Carpenter opted for a psychological approach inspired by Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, while leaving the gore to the audience's intuitions. This also helps focus on the build-up rather than explicitly the gore. Not only that, but using too much gore would hit the budget pretty hard. Contrary to the gore, tension is the key element to this film, as the entirety of the film is based on build-up. Seeing Michael become bolder in his approach to the teens as the film goes on builds tension brilliantly, as he is a pre-established threat that the audience knows has the potential to kill. It also builds tension with his ability to get around undetected, as this leads to the possibility that he could appear from any shadow to strike. Just like the copyright claims on the last video. The soundtrack for Halloween, composed by John Carpenter, is the most iconic soundtrack in all of horror, and is used throughout the film not only to increase tension, but its presence can also serve as indicators. The Shape Stalks is a brilliant example of this, and it shows that Michael is no longer in stealth mode and is actively pursuing his prey. But the main theme that plays in the opening titles really steals the show. This is a perfect personification of the film, as the eerie nature of the piece embodies many of the traits that are present in the film. The cinematography helps create an uneasy atmosphere. In certain scenes, Myers is out of focus in the background, while the character in the foreground will be in focus in the shot. Myers would also be positioned at the edge of the frame while the camera was focused on the middle. These camera techniques were a subtle way to make Michael appear even more intimidating. The scene where Laurie believes she has defeated Michael, only for him to rise in the background, is a masterclass in framing, as it creates a false sense of security with the audience that the evil is truly vanquished. Another technique used in the opening of the film was that of first-person view. This was a technique likely inspired by Black Christmas 1974. The performances in this film are stellar across the board. Each actor gave 110% for these roles, and it truly shows. Three notable performances in Halloween are the fear portrayed on Laurie and Loomis, played by Jamie Lee Curtis and Donald Pleasance, and the cold heartlessness of the Shape. One of the most famous scenes from the movie is given by the legendary Donald Pleasance. When Loomis is talking about Michael, you can tell this is a man who has experience with the Shape and truly fears just how evil he is. However, the best performance in the whole film was definitely that of the Myers house. On top of everything, Halloween has one of the most iconic endings of any horror film. The scene of Michael disappearing after being pumped full of lead and the fear that grips Loomis' soul is truly astounding. However, a more subtle detail is as the film is about to end, we are given shots of locations where the altercation with the Shape occurred, and the sound of the Shape's breathing is played with increasing volume, showing that the Shape is still alive and still a threat. So, on our fear scale of 10, where does Halloween rank? Halloween is a masterpiece in building suspense and making an already established threat more intimidating with time, patience, and subtlety. It set the standard for horror and still holds up well to this day. The film across the board is astounding at building the perfect atmosphere to help increase the already building sense of dread. And the fact that so little is known of Michael further helps to establish him as one of the most timeless killers ever filmed. For that reason, I'm giving Halloween a 7 on our fear scale. Let us know if you agree with our ranking in the comments below. If not, where would you rank this movie on the fear scale? Thanks for watching this episode of Fear Factor. Be sure to tune in next time as we review and critique more horror movies and games to determine just how scared they make us. And remember, that thing you saw behind the bush was probably nothing. Or was it?